Hi, my name is Reekay, and I'm here to take the mystery out of cooking. Okay, what we got here is a Teflon skillet. I've put in, now there's a whole lot of different ways to make fried chicken. You can fry it in a deep fryer. They have these Little Joe like deep fryers. They're kind of portable. Those are kind of cool. You can also put it in a steam cooker, pressure cooker, but that's kind of a little more on the advanced side as far as the pressure cooker goes. So what I want to do is just basically show you the simplest way to make these chicken fingers. We're going to take a regular skillet. I've only got, like I said, about maybe an inch, maybe less than an inch, 3/4 inch of oil. Personally, since I'm here in the Philippines, I use coconut oil. You can also use olive oil is a good one. The reason you want to use olive oil or coconut oil is because you can get it really hot before the oil starts to burn. You can still use vegetable oil, or some people even like shortening and whatever. Maybe not as healthy for you or whatever, but you can still use it. If all you got is vegetable oil laying around, then you're good to go. I've got this on high, so I'm letting it get hot. Meanwhile, here's the boneless chicken. Now, if you didn't see my video earlier, I'll put a little link here. You know, if you click on it, it'll pause and it'll show you, if you want to, the other video on how to make, basically debone a chicken breast. And you can do it with your hands. Doesn't even take 2 minutes. Save you a little bit of money. Or if you just don't want to hassle with it, you can buy the chicken breasts already boneless and filleted. They'll cost a little bit more, but you can get them that way. So for now, I'm going to take these 2 chicken breasts, set them by the side. What you're going to need is any kind of big bowl or container. I'm just going to use this. Now, there's a couple different ways you can go. If you want to keep it really, really simple, you can go to the seasoning section over at the grocery store, and they have these pre-mixed packets, kind of like a shake and bake sort of a thing. And you would dump that in here, and then you would take your chicken, roll it around there, and then we'll fry it. Now, what I'm going to do is some of those come with a little bit too much salt for my liking. Plus, you can't really customize them. They don't come the way you want. So I'm going to show you here what I'm going to do. Take regular flour, just plain old flour, and I'm going to put some in there. Okay, and that's going to be kind of our base to cook with for our breading. And once we got our flour in there, we're going to put in breadcrumbs. Whoa, must have been a little bit of water. That's one thing about heating up oil. Any water that gets in there, it's going to pop. So definitely, if your hands are wet, you know, don't swing them around. Yeah, the water and hot oil do not mix very well. It's probably a little bit of water on the bottom of this. Anyways, breadcrumbs. You can get them already made. You know, again, they're at the at usually where they have all the seasoning stuff. So I'm just going to tear a little thing off of there, and I'm going to mix in some breadcrumbs right there. And roughly, I would say the ratio is about 1/4 breadcrumbs to 1/4, yeah, to 3/4 flour. So you can take a fork and you can start kind of stirring it around, because we're going to do more mixing here in a second. But I'm going to put in some salt. So because you do want chicken and salt go really well together. There's about ½ teaspoonful of salt. Let me get some more salt. There we go. We got some more salt. So for this much breading, I'm going to put about that much salt. Next thing is pepper. I really love pepper in fried chicken. That kind of makes it. So there you go. We got some pepper. Now this is all you really need to put in is salt, pepper, and some breadcrumbs. If that's all you got laying around, you're good to go. You can do that. Now what I'm going to do, because I just kind of like to get a little creative once in a while, is you can get some of this stuff. It's basically minced garlic that's already dry. There's also minced garlic that comes in the juice. and that's a whole separate thing. But I'm gonna just kind of to flavor it, I'm gonna put these dried garlic deals. Now, meanwhile, I can tell this oil's getting hot, so I'm gonna put it on medium for now. Anyways, I'm gonna just kind of put some garlic in there. I like garlic. And I also like spicy food, so I'm going to put in a little bit of this chili powder. Again, if you go to if you're going to really get into cooking, every time you go to the grocery store, just pick up one seasoning, and before you know it, you'll have all the seasonings you like. So I'm going to take some of this chili pepper and put it right there. And then, you know, these bags, you want to take like a clothespin or something and keep them closed. That way they'll stay fresh. Otherwise, you know, maybe the ants get to it, or they get humidity and it gets all weird on you. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and stir this up. Now again, there's, you know, it doesn't matter what you're cooking, even something as simple as chicken fingers. You know, there's different ways you can go about it. And it's not like there's any one right way. It's just a matter of preference. Again, I want to show you the simple way, because if you want to do it the other way, you can, you know, I'll mention it, then you can go that route if you want to. Now, I've got it pretty well with this fork. I've got a pretty good mixture of the flour, the breadcrumbs, the chili pepper, the minced dry garlic. It's all in here pretty good. I've also got curry laying around, but I don't want to complicate it with too many flavors. If you get too many flavors in there, it gets hard to distinguish them. So I try to stick with maybe like under 5, you know, under 5 different spices. Some people just stick with 1 or 2, which is good too. Now, the alternative you can do is you can get a separate bowl. You can take about 2 eggs, whip them up, you know, crack them first, whip them up, and then you can dip the chicken in the egg, which will make it all slimy and weird, and then you put it into the flour, okay? I'm not gonna do that right now, because again, I wanna just keep it as simple as I can for you guys. So now that we have our breading ready, we got our chicken, and again, this chicken, because, you know, I wash it, after I debone it, I wash it, and it does have some moisture. There's no bones in here, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take a knife, and I'm gonna cut it in strips about the size of what I want to eat. You know, I want to eat strips that are about a little over 1.5 inches, you know, in width. There's 2 there. And by the way, if you want an easier time cutting chicken, you can put it in the freezer for a little bit, and when it firms up, it's actually easier to cut. It's harder to cut when it's just like this, all room temperature. So now I'm going to take these chicken strips, put them in the bowl. I'm going to take the other chicken breast here. Again, it's already deboned, ready to go. Okay, so now we got all of our chicken in these strips. And as I mentioned before, the process is really pretty simple. We're just going to take one of these chicken strips, fingers, whatever, and you're going to put it into your little concoction here. You can just kind of bounce it around. And the main thing you want to do is just make sure that the moisture is all covered. The less exposed moisture there is, the less it's going to spatter. It's still going to fry up, and you don't need to have this thing full of oil. All you need is, like I said, about 1/2 inch of oil. So now we're just going to lay that down, just like that. Take another one of these, just kind of balance it around, just like that. And we'll lay him in there. I mean, see how simple that was? I mean, basically we got some boneless chicken. We took a little bit of flour, some salt, some pepper, some breadcrumbs, some dried garlic, a little bit of chili pepper, Mixed it up. There you go, see, that's kind of what it looks like there. And yes, the oil is hot, so you don't want to stick your fingers in there. And what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to put what'll fit on one layer. I'm not going to stack them on top of each other, because that's going to actually prevent, you know, where they're touching, it'll prevent them from cooking the breading. So I've got room there for one layer of chicken, just room for one more right here on the edge. A little quick lesson. If, say for instance, you were to put a lid on oil like this, the condensation and the water is going to go to the lid. So what you want to do is take it off and remove it horizontally. You don't want to turn it like this, because then all the water that collected here is going to go to one side, drip in there into the oil, freak out, and then you got chaos. So if you've got hot oil you're dealing with and you've got a lid on it, to prevent spatter, just pick it up, pull it over horizontally. Now from here out, it's pretty straightforward. I really don't, here's one common mistake that people make with both hamburgers, grilling hamburgers, and with fried chicken, is right now it's cooking and you feel the need to do something. So what do people do? They start flipping it, and then they flip this one, then they flip that one. Pretty soon they can't remember which one they flipped and which one they didn't flip. It's not going to do it any good. Think of it this way. What you want to do is just flip it one time. You want to cook it from the bottom halfway up. It's easier to tell on a hamburger. You want to cook it halfway up, flip it one time, and then cook it from the bottom up to the middle, you know, and that's it. You just really want to handle the meat one time, each piece. And that way you know they're all cooked the same, they're all, you know, they're all good. So I'm going to let this cook for a little bit, and then when it's time to flip over, we'll do that. All right, these have been cooking for about maybe 8 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. And I'm poking it here with the fork. Now, raw chicken is very pliable, very pliable. As you cook it, it's going to firm up. So you can just kind of poke it. It should feel a little bit soft on the top and kind of firm on the bottom. When it gets to that point, I really should use probably some tongs. I don't have any here with me. But what I'm going to do is just flip them over one time again. This is the first and only time I'm going to really flip them over. There we go. As you can see, it's already like crispy brown right there. That's a good sign. And the firmer the chicken is, the closer it is to being done. I'm just flipping these over one at a time here. Now it won't take as long for it to cook the second side, of course, because it's already now hot and everything. So this should only take maybe about 3-4 minutes. I do want to take a moment out to kind of bring something up. I usually tend to clean up as I go, like if there's trash or chicken bones or whatever it is, you know, I usually try to clean up a little bit. I got a little bit of stuff here on the cutting board, that's about it. As you start cooking larger and larger meals, you'll find that it really helps you a lot if you clean up as you go. Toss away the eggshells, toss away the empty packages of stuff you're using. Just clean up as you go. That way, when you're completely done cooking, you can just go sit down and eat. When you're done eating, you come back and there's not this huge mess of stuff all over the kitchen. Just clean up as you go, you know, kind of wipe things down, you know, put the lids back on your spices as you go, put them back where they belong. It makes things a whole lot easier. So we'll come back to this here in about 3-4 minutes when it's all nice and crispy on the bottom. Okay, now that it's been another 3 or 4 minutes, you want to check it by basically just poking it with the fork. If you kind of give it a twist and you can start seeing the muscle fibers kind of separate, then you know that the chicken is good. Some people say, well, you poke it and you check if blood comes out. There's not a whole lot of blood in breast meat, so that's not really going to work. But the simplest way is to just poke it with a fork. You can usually tell it's nice and firm. It's nothing like it was when you put it in. It's all nice and firm. Now, before we take it out, what we're going to do is use some paper towels. I've got some napkins here. Essentially, I'm going to lay these down and set the chicken on top. I'm going to give it a second to just kind of drip off a little bit of the oil. And there's our first chicken finger. And I set them on the paper towel or napkins, of course, to drain off any excess oil between now and the time that you actually start digging in to eat them up. Man, these smell so good. Man, I wish I could transfer that through video somehow. But man, these smell really good. Nice and golden brown there. I'll cook up that in a minute. And actually, that's essentially it. Smells really good. Again, you've got flour and you got the taste of the garlic, the dried minced garlic. You got chili pepper, you know, mixed in here. A little bit of salt and pepper. Another thing I like to do is when you serve it, get some of this stuff. They usually have it at the Asian stores or maybe most other grocery stores. Basically, it's sweet and spicy Thai sauce. You just pour a little Thai sauce on the side. It makes for a really good dipping sauce, and goes great with the chicken fingers. So that's essentially it. Hope that's easy enough. Again, you can later on, you can always do it where you dip it in the egg and then into the, oh, one other thing. Since you've got, you know, this breading all ready to go, and you got the hot oil, get yourself some of the biggest white onions you can find, or yellow. The biggest ones, slice them so that they come, you can separate them to make onion rings. And now for the onion rings, they're dry, so the flour's not going to stick to it. For those, you will need to dip it in the egg, dip it into a bowl, you know, with your mixture here. Fry them just like you did. They'll cook a lot faster. I mean, they'll cook in like 1.5 minutes or so, 3 minutes max. So that way you can have chicken fingers and onion rings. Bam, big nice, you know, lunch ready to go. All right, so hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.